We had promised you a briefing from the Democratic Alliance where they allege Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has been involved in a corruption cover-up dating back to 2016. That briefing has now started. Let's listen in.
Lost due to corruption, particularly in government departments. And this is something that we have been saying needs to be investigated. We're sitting with over 58 forensic reports that, has for the longest of time, since 2016, have really not come to the fore. Some people had been suspended automatically, then they are reinstated without us even understanding where is the investigation gone, what were the recommendations, and what ultimately would have happened in that. The forensic investigation undertaken by the Gauteng Provincial Government are meant to determine whether any corrupt activities have been taking place in government. By releasing these reports, Premier Lesufi will show that this government is serious and has nothing to hide when dealing with corruption and with the, clamping down on maladministration. Despite the releasing of the Anglo-Ashanti, you would remember we have spoken about the Anglo-Ashanti report that spoke about almost 500 million that has been spent on an empty hospital that we never even used once, but 500 million has gone into that. No one has ever been held to account up to today. We are now sitting with NGOs that have been without resources. And we are asking ourselves why money that was meant to go to these NGOs haven't been going to these NGOs. We're sitting with the Tembisa Hospital report that, the driver's license center reports that talks to a number of reports that we said needs to be, made public. We need to then know what were the recommendations and what is actually to be done going forward. I can tell you right now, there is the bus, the scholar transport subsidy, and the buses, the bus subsidy that the report that needs to be made public. We're waiting on that to be made public. The school uniform. Our poor kids who are in the townships, who are relying on government subsidized uniforms, have been robbed of those uniforms. And we haven't, up to today, been told why has that not happened. The NGOs that were supposed to be receiving millions of rands in terms of subsidies haven't been receiving their money. All monies has been cut, and we don't know what has been happening. The investigation has really not been able to then give clarity, or they haven't been able to, be made those public. Recently, it also came to light that a forensic audit launched into the Gauteng Department of Social Development had revealed that the Director of Sustainable Livelihoods Program, July Maposa, has resigned in 2018 after he was accused of fraud of soliciting bribes. Furthermore, the forensic audit, which began in 2018, also revealed that between 2014 and 2018, a huge portion of the annual budget of the program went to 3 non-profit organizations that shared the same directors. Now, these are some of the things that we have been saying. If the reports can be made public, we can then know what actually is happening. The fact that these are not being made public, the fact that Panyaza keeps talking about making these public and not making them public, means that he knows what they contain. It means that he knows what is in there. The question is, who is he protecting? Is he protecting some politically aligned people? Is he protecting some officials that are really high up there and doing favors, for other politicians that now needs to then be protected? Why are these reports not seeing the time of day? The contents of this forensic audit are still needs to be made public. The department plays a critical role in the uplifting of the lives of the people here in Gauteng. However, this cannot be done if only a connected few, as I said, are given tenders or are actually then given subsidies instead of the additional people, and the processes being followed accordingly. And this is what the forensic investigating reports would be able to then tell us. In addition, a forensic investigation was meant to be undertaken into the conditions of the Rahima Musa Hospital, which has also not started as yet. We were told that money as a service provider has been appointed in that particular space, but nothing has actually happened in that regard. What are they hiding? What are they scared that the service provider is going to find in this particular space? It is also clear that when corruption occurs, there are only connected few individuals that benefit to the departments or out of the departments, and to the detriment of our residents here in Gauteng. Furthermore, we have been told that there will be lifestyle audits that will be conducted. And year in, year out, since David Makura, we've been told that there will be lifestyle audits. There will be lifestyle audits. Now, again, Panyaza seems to have jumped on the bandwagon of talking about lifestyle audits, but we never hear anything about these lifestyle audits. We've been told that they've been completed, yet nobody has ever seen, the results thereof. The question is, why hasn't that happened? It's now 2 years that Panyaza Lesufi has made this promise of ensuring that lifestyle audits will be made public, and nothing has actually come down. The lifestyle audits also talks to the government's drive to clamp down on corruption and to clamp down on maladministration. But if these are not going to be done and made public, it then tells us that this is just the rhetoric, this is just talk, and there's nothing else that is going to come out of it that will be to the benefit of the people of Gauteng. Corrupt activities in this province take away valuable money from the service delivery, putting the needs of the residents on a back foot. Furthermore, additional money is spent on forensic investigation. These forensic investigations cost millions and millions of rands, so it's not free of charge, and it's not done in-house. They are getting external companies to do this, which charge this government millions of rands, and this reports never see the time of day. For far too long, we have heard about Panyaza Lesufi's commitment to run a clean government, but we're still waiting for this report that will tell us that this is a serious drive to really get to having a clean government here in Gauteng. Running a clean government means that you need to expose corruption. It means that you need to ensure that even the politicians that are connected, when they're implicated, you are able to then investigate them thoroughly. You need to make sure that charges are pressed against them. You need to make sure that we recover the monies that would have otherwise gone into the hands of those that would have benefited unduly. Premier Lesufi needs to do the right thing and make sure that they release those reports and release them with a matter of urgency. We need to make sure that these forensic reports are released to us. We are putting again another PI application to them today. We are putting another PI application to make sure that we then get these reports. Failure to which we will actually then be left with no option but to approach the presidency in this regard, because we are saying that this is a matter that cannot continue unabated. We are going to be, also approaching the president, as I said, to ensure that we unleash the hawks to come and do a full-on investigation on the reports that have been there. And we will not hesitate to take this matter to court as well. We will be joining those that are looking at taking these matters to court. As you would know, that AfriForum has already jumped on one of the forensic reports. We are saying there's more of these forensic reports that we have, now know of, and we are saying these needs to be released to us. We need to know what the contents, not the doctored versions of those, but the full versions of these documents. Failure to which we will then, approach, the higher structures, including the presidency and actually a court of law, to make sure that these are made public and that action is taken then going forward. So this is where we are. One of the other things that we will be doing as well is to write to the Auditor General as well, because the Auditor General looks at, there's a certain criteria that the Auditor General uses or does, comply with when they're doing audits. We are going to be making certain information now available to then say, perhaps you didn't have a look at this when you were doing your audits of certain departments. We want you now to dig a little bit deeper and look at some of these elements where we do believe that corruption is actually taking place or maladministration is actually taking place. That is something that you're not having a look at, that now will affect even certain audit outcomes of certain departments. They wouldn't be getting clean audits if some of these things would be investigated and looking at properly. We will also similarly also be writing to the public protector, because it cannot be that you would have NGOs that are denied the ability to help the vulnerable members of the community. It cannot be that you would have services that are supposed to be delivered in hospitals not being delivered because there's corruption that is taking place. It cannot be that you would have a police force that is supposed to be getting some assistance from the provincial government in terms of vehicles, in terms of additional personnel, and they're not getting that. It cannot be that you are going to have a situation where our children who are coming from poor communities, who rely on scholar transport, who rely on buses to get them to schools, are denied that opportunity, to be able to then get to school. And these are things that we are going to be taking on with the public protector, and hopefully all these external entities will be able to then assist us in getting to the bottom of the road that is taking place here in Gauteng. Thank you very much.
All right. Questions? Yes, sir.
Obviously, Mr. Lesufi is denied that saying some of the reports have been
Well, if they have been released, who has them? Do you have them? Does the public know what the outcomes of those forensic reports are saying? These are things that he keeps saying that he's releasing. He says, even the last time, he's released the lifestyle audit report. Where? Who has seen it? We, certainly, as sitting members of this legislature, we haven't seen those. Members of the public haven't seen those. And if they're released, then they should be somewhere on a website. They should be somewhere on a public platform. I challenge him to tell us where he has put those so that members of the public can engage with it.
Bafedile from ENCA. On your media statement, you have outlined that you will share some of the damning findings. What are these?
Well, as I'm saying to you, we have now come to light of a number of officials that have been implicated in some of these forensic reports, but not, some of them were suspended and now already they're back at work. And this is information that we are going to be making public, or we're going to be making available to, to the presidency when the time comes. We are going to be making that available to the public protector and also to the Auditor General. Because if there are people that are implicated, have been suspended, and without any process automatically find themselves back in, and yet they've been on full paid suspension, that talks about, the road that is taking place here. But also, there are millions and millions that are paid towards companies that are doing these forensic investigations. And yet, these reports are not being made public. So isn't that wasteful expenditure on its own? And the fact that Panyaza knew of some of these reports and actually never did anything or asked for a second opinion, if you like, or for certain documents to be reinvestigated so that there's a different outcome of that forensic investigation. That talks to doctoring, and that amounts to also tampering with evidence, or even dealing or trying to do away with the crime that has actually happened here. And these are things that we are going to be talking to when we meet obviously with the Auditor General, the Public Protector, and whoever the presidency will be allocating to this particular case.
Mr. Simanga, you said there's 58 forensic reports. More than 58 forensic reports that are unreleased. I'm just trying to get clarity. Just like, how did you get to this number? Just because these reports were tabled to the legislature, is this true? Maybe whistleblowers, or do you? The legislature was made aware of an investigation that was happening, but then obviously at the end there wasn't a report that was released. I just want to get clarity on how did you get to this number?
Well, to be quite exact with you, there's 170 that we're sitting with. And this has been coming to us through whistleblowers. This has been coming through to us through the questions that we have been asking in the legislature. So they will tell you that these are the cases, but they will never actually then go and give you the report. So there's 170 to be quite exact, and all of them with relevant case number, or what they call the ICM number. So we have 170 of these.
Since 2017.
Since 2017, by the way.
All right, so there you have it. That's the situation as it unfolds in Johannesburg. The Democratic Alliance outlining what they reckon are pretty damning allegations implicating Panyaza Lesufi, who's currently the Premier of Gauteng. But they are essentially accusing him of concealing the findings of a number of forensic reports, which are yet to be released. I mean, the exact reasons for that, I suppose, at this stage are still not exactly clear, but they are insinuating that by virtue of not releasing these reports, Panyaza Lesufi clearly has something to hide and therefore might be implicated in whatever might have taken place. Part of these reports, they say, speak about, in part, the Tembisa investigations. We, of course, covered many stories around that troubled hospital and the claims of the corruption that's taking place there. It's also spoken about money that, was meant to be used for certain infrastructure projects, which has apparently been spent, but that infrastructure is nowhere to be found. He's saying that they don't mind going to the court. In fact, he's threatened court action if these reports aren't released, saying that they're willing to have the president roped in to get to the bottom of what might have happened. Now, timing in politics, they say, is absolutely everything. If the DA had known about this since 2016, as they claim, the question, I suppose, becomes why release this now? Secondary to that is whether or not, of course, they're willing to lay any kind of criminal investigation. And I suppose if they're willing to go to court, they're willing to rope in law enforcement officials to get to the bottom of what might have happened. But you'll take from that what you will. If the claims, though, are true, of course, this becomes an incredibly important story and one that we will, without a doubt, continue to watch for you.